Hello, I'm Angela Prabhu. I'm based in Greenock and my art form is photography. Oh, many years ago, my dad gave me a camera when I was 10-ish, 11-ish. And he took me along to Salcott's Camera Club because we lived in Stevenston at the time. And I just sort of got into it. Then, that's as simple as that. It was just something I did. I wasn't particularly sporty as a child, or even particularly good at music, so taking photographs was something I could do. The studio is set up as a portrait studio, so it's generally people and pets. And I would say for the most part, I'm not a good landscape photographer. I don't have the patience to wait for the sun to be in the right spot. I like fiddling around with macro for a bit of fun, but mostly just people. In the studio, I quite like to build little sets and things like that for for the children, and even for the glamour photography and the makeover photography that I do. There's usually an element of set building or set design goes into that, because I feel that if you're going to come to a studio, it's going to be something different than you can get anywhere else. So it starts off with a conversation, usually with the client, to find out what it is they're looking for, what they want to do. And with the children, a lot of it centres around what they love to do. So if they're sporty, or if they like to sing or dance, or I've got a girl coming tomorrow and she loves to bake. So we're building a whole Victorian kitchen for her to bake in. So that's the sort of first part of the process. Then I build and create that fantasy in the studio, and then we come and do the photo shoot, and then after that they come and have a look and choose what they would like as a lovely piece of art for the wall. It's a bit of everything. I like when talking to people and finding out about other people. I used to teach, so I don't know whether there's that whole sort of nosiness still in there. I like to come up with sort of the creativity of building things. The engineer in me is still there and likes to sort of have a go at putting all sorts of stuff together. So I would say so. And I love the photograph taking part of it, because I like messing around with the lighting. So if you look at a lot of my photographs, you'll see that the lighting isn't what most other photographers is like. I light from behind a lot, or to the side a lot, rather than just very flat, straight on lighting that you would expect from most portrait studios. So I hate the editing part. I think most people do. I had baby number 2, and I was made redundant I was teaching at the Nautical College at the time, and I was made redundant. So I had a bit of a now or never moment. I was coming up on being 40, and I'd taken photographs all my life, always had done, and messed around in dark rooms when I was younger. So I just sort of went, you know what, I'm going to go for it. My husband was away on a 10-day trip to Singapore or somewhere like that, and our front room in our old house in Bees had turned into a portrait studio by the time he'd come back, and I'd sort of moved. I can't even remember what was in that room. I think there was a piano. I remember moving a piano into the dining room and putting up all the backdrop, and it was a much smaller room than the studio space is. And it just, and then Lara was still quite young So there was, our toddler group were looking to raise funds, and I just remember saying, I'll do a photo fundraiser for you. And that kind of just kicked it all off as well, you know. So I'm a bit of an accidental portrait studio owner, and that's just how my life is, you know. I sign up for things and then think about it after, you know, so. I am planning on doing my fine art photography degree once my children are a little older. I think it's kind of up to the individual. It's not, photography is not like medicine. You're not really going to kill somebody if you don't have a degree in it. So it is quite about, you know, can you use a camera and can you use it well enough to take decent photographs that people will buy. I've gone down the route of the societies, so I'm qualified through their licentiate scheme, and one of these days I will get my associate and fellowship, but I've been too busy being mum for the last few years to really think about getting a body of work together for it. You know, so it's very similar to what you would do in college, because, you know, to be honest, photography is not hard. There's not much to learn. There's only 3 things, you know, and getting them in the right order. You know, shutter speed, aperture, ISO. You know, the rest of it's all aesthetic. Buy a camera. You know, and do you know, phone cameras at the moment are absolutely amazing. So children, you know, you can learn all the basics of composition just using a phone camera. I've done a little photography course with the Cubs along the road, and we did it with just little point and shoot cameras, so they didn't have to worry about settings and apertures and shutter speeds and things like that, because they were still quite young. But we did teach them about composition and different viewpoints, and, you know, how to look at things in a different way. So, you know, that's sort of maybe the start, and then as you get older and more interested, then you can go into the more technical aspects. So, and it's much easier now than it was in the film days. Oh God, Inverclyde is so beautiful. For all that I'm not a landscape photographer, I just love climbing up, what do you call it, where the reservoir is, up sort of like behind Inverclyde, and just looking down, and, you know, and last night's sunset was unbelievable. I was driving home at the time, so I couldn't get a photograph of it, but it was just watching it, you know, and we see it coming down the mountains. So yeah, we're very, very fortunate to have such a beautiful, beautiful area to live in here. I am working at the moment on a stroboscopic lighting technique, and it is going okay, but it's summertime now and I need the studio to be way much darker. So I've just bought a load of blackout material, because I can't get it to work if there's any residual light, because each burst of the flash has to just light up that position. My poor children will be getting guinea pigged into this again. But yes, it's something that I'm hoping to be able to roll out later on in the year for dancers, musicians, and sporty people. You know, so I'm not quite sure how big a sporty person, though. Maybe up to tennis player. I don't know that I could get a footballer in with a stroboscope in here, but I could try. Oh, do I have a favourite piece? I like... It's hard, isn't it? The angel at the front, because that was taken for Cash for Kids. That was a Cash for Kids charity thing I did not long after I'd opened, and that picture has always been sort of I suppose it's the poster child for the business, really. The picture of the dog up here, the lurcher, was my very, very first gold award in competition. So, because I'd never really entered the SWPP competitions before, and my friend Tracy poked and prodded at me for months, you know, and she said, you have to put the dog in, and you know, and she obviously knew. And interestingly, this picture here of the wee baby, although that was what won me the Baby Photographer of the Year, it's never really been a huge favourite of mine, and it's mostly because I didn't put a huge amount of effort into it. It was a fundraiser day for the toddler group again, and it was one of those days where you book a half-hour session, you know, and everybody just came in, you plonk your kids in front of me, and that was it. And yeah, I mean, all I did was put a hat on her head, some beads around her body, and take the disgusting dress that she was wearing off. And I think I might have put her in a tutu. She was in a really, really awful dress. You know, but other than that, there wasn't a huge amount went into it. So I was really quite surprised how well that picture done, because normally, there's usually a lot more effort goes in. You know, but I am proud of it. Yeah. Oh, and I love the Dalmatian. That's why it's still up, because I knew I had one shot at that with the Dalmatian to throw. It's brown confetti, and I knew this was a brown Dalmatian that was coming. And the lady that was supposed to bring her was ill on the day, so it was her partner who brought the poor dog. And I'd had a whole thing planned around Cruella de Vil, 101 Dalmatians. I'd bought some Dalmatian fabric. We were going to just pretend that, you know, she wears a Dalmatian coat and a pair of really, really high heel boots, and so we were just going to have the boots and the dog. And I couldn't persuade her partner to wear the boots or the coat, so I had to come up with something else, and I had this brown confetti, and I said, right, okay, you put it in a box. I said, you take that and tap it on the bottom so as the confetti flies out, and hopefully your dog will get enough of a fright and just spin or do something interesting. And she did. So yeah, so that's why. So it was to make it look as if the spots were flying off. But it was a bit of a one shot, because I thought, if we don't get it, she's never going to do it again, because we can't frighten her twice.